Welcome to another episode of the Assisted Living Podcast. Today I have Roberto Carabetta with us today.
Thanks, Andy.
Brother, we met through at PBD's Lounge, and we've gotten kind of close, and happened to be just by coincidence we're in the same space. You're in the assisted living space, and you're into the acquisition side of things, and so are we. And we've hit off on a lot of different things, but I want to bring you on to talk about first your background. How did you get into the business? And then from there, how have you evolved in the business and what you have going on in the future of the business? So how did you get your start in assisted living? But let's back up. Who are you?
I'm Roberto Carabetta. Yeah. No, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure, man. Like you said, we connected really well in our group. So pleasure being here. Thanks. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Canada. Born in Toronto, Canada, about 10 years old. My family moved about 30, 40 minutes west of the Toronto downtown. And that's where my teenage years, my early 20s, is where I started understanding that real estate is a component that you need to excel, to growth, for financial stability. It's not your 9-to-5 job is going to get you there. So I'll tell you that at age 17, through my mother's connections, she used to work at a top 6 bank in Toronto area. So she got me in. At age 17, I was a bank teller. And then my mind started opening up at that age. The reason being is I used to serve walk-in customers. So 20, 25 years ago, people used to walk into the bank, cash their checks, make deposits, take out the cash, etc. So then I saw a common theme month over month while I was being a teller. And I saw these people coming in with monthly checks, and the same people coming in, whether he's a lawyer or a general contractor or a factory worker, they came in with $1,500 checks every month. And I said, wow, this is interesting. It's a common denominator I noticed. And I found out that these were all rent checks. They had their business or they had their employment, but they also had a real estate component to their cash flow, to their financial portfolio. And they had rental units. So then I started thinking and doing some research at age maybe 18, 19, about how am I going to buy a rental unit? If these guys can do it, why can't I? Right? Like, sure, they're older than me, they're more experienced, but it's just a matter of education at that point. So fast forward a couple of years, it was age 21 that I drove down to the downtown Toronto. Back then, you got to realize 25, 30 years ago, Toronto was really blank. It was a blank canvas. They didn't really have high rises and condos like they do now. It was like, I call it a mini New York, or the potential to be a mini New York, because even the proximity with Toronto and New York, they're very close. So at age 21, I went to a sales office by myself. Sales agent convinced me to buy this unit. It was a great unit. It was a condominium, one of the first few builds in the downtown Toronto area. And without any knowledge or education, I signed my name on the dotted line. And I purchased that condominium at age 21 without even telling my parents.
Oh my God.
They were pretty old school
So
Italian.
how'd you come up with a down payment? Just working and saving, or how'd you do that?
So it's not like it is now. You don't need a $200,000 down payment. So back then, I remember was $5,000 on signing.
Okay.
Which I took from a line of credit because I worked at the bank. So
Sure.
they gave me a $5,000 line of credit. In 60 days was another $5,000 down payment. So I worked up, saved $5,000. So over like a 6 or 8 month period, they only needed $20,000. So I was able to do that.
Yeah.
Whether it's through line of credits or working or savings, I came up with that $20,000 down payment. And that just kind of gave me the confidence, gave me the confirmation that, hey, I'm doing the right thing. At least I'm taking that step forward. All that stress of signing on the dotted line kind of went away. Now you're like, damn, this is real.
Right.
Like, this is going to be mine. So fast forward a little bit. My goal was to buy 7 rental units by the age of 30.
Okay.
I achieved 10 rental units by the age of 35.
Okay.
My 7th one came after the age 30, but I'm still satisfied with my goal, what I achieved in Canada.
So these were condominiums, single family homes?
2 condominiums, and the rest were single family or townhome style houses.
Okay.
Yeah, and all investments. And what I did is waited for the appreciation on my first investment, took that money, bought the second investment. Two investments go up at the same time, take that money, buy the third, and so on, right?
Sure.
So really, it's none of my capital. I just used my initial down payment, that
Sure.
$20,000,
Using a leverage over the other.
and the rest just flowed,
Right.
right? It's just leverage through the HELOCs and refinancing. So in that meantime, that was my cash flow. That was my retirement bucket. I knew I didn't have access to that cash in my 20s and 30s, but I saw that long-term vision that real estate had. You see the Donald Trumps of the world, the real estate tycoons, they're all invested in real estate somehow, whether they own a block, whether they own a tower, whether they own 200 units, they're in real estate. So I knew that was my plan for longevity. So growing up in Toronto, I left the bank about 6 years after my start. I ended up working with my father as a general contractor. He was very successful. He had his own company. He immigrated from Italy to Canada at the age of 17. So when you immigrate back then in the 70s, you got to work with your hands.
Right.
There's no education.
Right.
There's no real technology back then. There's nothing really to do except work in a factory or start your own business somehow. So he started his general contracting business. Worked with him 8-9 years, and we did everything ourselves. We did the drywall, we did the demolition, we did the tile setting, electrical, plumbing, all the trades we did ourselves. And I'm like, Dad, this is hard. Like I enjoyed what I did, but it was hard,
Right,
like
hard
physical.
work. Yeah.
So we wake up at 6, we're on the job site at 7, we come home at 6 p.m. After dinner, we're both asleep on the couch at 7 o'clock, 8
And then you got
o'clock.
to do it again the next
You
morning.
got to do it again the next morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the old school Italian, you got to do it Saturday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I remember some Monday holidays.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, Dad, this has to be a better way. Why don't we start subbing out? Let's expand. Instead of doing one job or one project for 5 months, why not get 2 or 3 projects in 5 months?
Smart.
And then sub it out. I love him. He was my best friend. I love him. It's all good. I'm not hating on him, but he didn't see that expansion because he was trained in the old school mentality
Right.
as an immigrant to keep money in the pocket.
Right.
He goes, why are you going to give money away? Keep it for yourself. Don't pay anyone else. We can do the work. So we butt heads like on the business side. And I said, one day I said, Dad, I'm going to leave you. I said, I love you.
Yeah.
You're getting old.
Is your dad
anyways."
still alive though?
No, unfortunately, he passed 8 years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
But it was a blessing in a way that when I left him,
Yeah.
and not in a
So
negative
what
way.
did he tell you when you say, "Hey, Dad, like I'm out,"
So
or "I'm gonna leave you"?
what I did is I printed a piece of paper, which was a contract
Uh-huh.
that I made up.
Right.
There was no AI back then, so
Yeah,
I
they
had to,
just
I had
write
to
it
like
out.
write everything because I wanted it to be official in a sense that, Dad, I'm serious about
Right.
my future, about my mindset, about my expansion. So I wrote a 1-page contract,
Sure.
whatever it said, and I signed it at the dinner table. I said, Dad, we talked. I said, you got to sign it. He ended up signing it. He understood my vision. He never held me back. He just didn't want to take the risk by himself or take any risk
Sure.
for that matter. So we signed the contract. Everything was happy, but him passing was a blessing in disguise in a way that those 5 years in between when I left from his passing, he enjoyed his life. He didn't have to work as hard.
Right.
Because I found out that he was showing up to the job site because of me. He felt like that friendship bond that, hey, I'm going to teach you,
I'm gonna
I'm
spend
going to be your
time with you,
mentor,
yeah.
to spend time with me. So once I went on my own, he slowed down a lot.
Right.
He spent time with his friends, more time with my mother,
Wow, what
his
a
wife.
blessing.
So that 5, 6, 7 years after I left and between from when he passed,
Sure.
I saw him laughing all the time,
Right.
having his cigars, drinking his wine, his scotch with his buddies, his friends, traveling to different countries around the world. He lived his life in that time frame. So things happen for a reason.
Absolutely.
We both know that things happen for a reason.
Everything's on God's timing.
Yeah, whether you find out today, tomorrow, next year, things happen for a reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's back up.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of different advice out there where you see on social media, like the Grant Cardones, where you want Thors, you don't want single family homes. Those are just, you're a slave to those type of properties. If you had to do it all over again, would you do it the way you did it? Or would you try to get like a duplex or a 8-unit, 10-unit type property versus buying a single home, single apartment?
Yeah, so I guess a little bit of advice for newbies in this real estate investing space is why not hack the system? Buy a duplex, You live on one side, the renter lives on the other side. Or buy a larger single family home, you live in the basement, a renter lives upstairs. Essentially, they'll pay your mortgage and you might even have extra cash for that month.
Right.
$500-600 extra a month.
Yep.
So that's the hack that I would use if I started over again. I'm not upset at what I did or how I started because it evolved me to where I am now, right? It let me expand. It let me
Sure.
understand the real estate space.
Sure.
But yeah, I just like I call it hack the system.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So you go through this progression. You end up now you're in your 40s and you start getting into the assisted. How do you find out about the assisted living? Because you're not even from this space. You don't have a healthcare background. So like, how did you come up on this space?
Yeah, so I lived 40 years in the Toronto area, growing up, living my life. I really enjoyed it. It was all positive. But then that period of 2021, 2022, my wife and I said, hey, man, why don't we change up our lives? Canada's cold. I'm a beach guy, palm trees, weather. I got Italian background. It's a beautiful country there. I'm like, why don't we move to Italy?
Wow.
We look at each other. We're like, let's do it. That didn't really work out because the reason is I didn't see a future for my kids.
Right.
Like, yeah, I can sell all my real estate in Canada, move to Italy, live like my little king that I am. But what are my kids going to do?
Right.
They're going to look at me lie on the beach all day, go to the espresso bars. What are they going to learn? So an opportunity came up in my wife's circle of friends. One of the friends asked her to partner on a diabetic management clinic.
Okay.
But that clinic was located in South Florida, actually here in the Hollywood area.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our way out of Canada, starting our new life. In 2023, we ended up moving our whole family, my 2 kids, my wife, ended up moving to Fort Lauderdale area.
Okay.
At the age of 41. That's where the real estate game changed for me. It was no more single family homes. It was more commercial real estate, larger scale. I started in multifamily. I acquired 3 multifamily properties.
Okay.
I went to mentorship programs. I went to education courses. I joined groups that were teaching me, how do you do this? How do you do that? So I used the syndication model to acquire these multifamily properties. And it was there that I got into the assisted living senior care space. One of my partners 3 years ago sent me an underwriting. I opened it up. He didn't tell me nothing about it. And I didn't really pay attention to the address so much. My eyes went right to the returns, to the numbers, right? Like naturally. And I said, wow, this is like a 3x multiple in 5 years. I'm like, this is impossible.
Right.
Because you don't see that in real estate.
No, you don't.
It's not a get rich quick scheme.
Right.
So I didn't believe him. I didn't believe the underwriting. I'm a nerd myself on the underwriting side, on the numbers. So I dug in deeper. It took me about 2-3 weeks to punch holes in this underwriting to make it not a 3x multiple. So it was a 3.2x multiple that he gave me.
On the pro forma they gave.
Yeah. On the underwriting, on the 5-year
Right.
pro forma, this is the T12, this is year 1, year 2, and so on.
Right.
So I knocked it down from a 3.2 multiple return to a 3 multiple return.
Okay.
I'm like,
Yeah,
still good returns.
Yeah, very good
right?
returns. Yeah.
So after all my research, all the information that I gathered on assisted living, on memory care, I knew there was an opportunity in this space. So I put multifamily aside and I said, you know what? I'm all in this assisted living space. A, because I can make a difference for my family and my financial situation. B, you can make a difference for the residents. You give better care, then those residents feel like they're at home.
Right.
C, you give a better life and a better opportunity to the staffing,
right,
and to the people around you. So it's a win-win for a lot of people in this space if you do it correctly. So ever since about 3 years ago, just under 3 years ago, I've been all in an acquiring mid-market senior living communities.
So did you have any fear because it was the unknown? Like, you don't know this space. Like, the numbers look very good, but and you did the underwriting. You came in at 3 times multiple. But was there any doubt what you were getting yourself into?
As an entrepreneur, as an investor, you always have doubt.
Right.
Whether it's doubt at nighttime you can't sleep and you got butterflies, or whether it's doubt for a couple hours and you're like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. No solid investment has no doubt.
Right.
There's always a sense of nervousness. if you're not fearful, you're not going to win or you're not going to exceed.
Sure.
But doing the research, collecting the data, asking questions, understanding the business first before I purchase that first asset is where that calms down the nerves and where that solidifies my doubt or my fear. Like, hey, I'm doing the right thing, but you're always fearful.
Right.
But you have to do your research, your data collection.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. Yeah, I tell people all the time, you got to put, your something on the table. If not, you're not gonna grow, and you're not gonna have anything in life. So that's part of it. But so you acquire your first community. How did that experience go? So you close. Now you have this beautiful property. Now what's next?
So the performers always look the best.
Telling me.
These 3x multiples look so shiny and so
Right.
bright.
Right.
You perform X amount of rent in year 2, year 3, and so on. So our first community that we acquired was just outside Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
It was in a tertiary market, and I thought, hey, tertiary market, a little bit less competition. We did our comp research, and we found out that the closest one to us was newly acquired, and they were getting $3,500 a month rent.
Okay.
And it was 5-6 miles down the road. We purchased this community at $2,500 rent per month. So I said, wow, that's a huge opportunity to get $1,000 increase
Right.
within a couple months at least,
Right.
or the first year. But when you acquire an assisted living community, nothing goes as planned the first couple months because there's a huge transition.
Oh, huge.
It's not, oh, I'm going to go in and guns a-blazing and increase rents. Now you get that sense of human connection. You can't be that evil guy going in and increasing $1,000. You have to do it gradually. You have to show the residents and show the staff that you're here for them.
100%.
You're not here as this investor, businessman making millions of dollars.
So I've been through so many acquisitions when it comes to assisted living. I was part of a fund that raised $100 million, and we acquired, I think it was 5 communities within a 2-year span. It was just I was a CMO there for 2 years, and that was one of the biggest challenges that we had was really getting the staff's trust when we first came in, because they didn't know what angle we were going to come in, and we were very cautious of setting any type of notion that we were there just for money, right? Like that was never our play. We always had the resident first type mentality, because we wanted our staff to understand that we wanted to put the resident first before any profits or anything, any revenue that the company was going to make. But you're absolutely right. That's one of the biggest things, and one of the biggest issues that I have with this particular market is these private equity firms that are coming in because they're looking at data, they're looking at the numbers, but they don't understand the human element to the business. And that's where a lot of these problems, and now they're fire selling, right? Like you're seeing all these private equity firms that are like, we got to get out of the space because we don't know how to operate in it. So it's just such an interesting dynamic. What's one of the misconceptions that investors have about this business?
So in my world of single family and multifamily investing, it's all about the real estate, the 4 walls, and what that real estate can generate. The senior care side really has nothing to do with real estate. I'm underwriting the business. So it's a business within a real estate block. So the investors, and even myself, I had to understand this years ago. And I educate my investors. So we raise capital as a team to fund and purchase these assets. So I have to educate investors. You're buying a business. You're going to buy a small HVAC company. You're going to buy a laundromat. You're going to buy a car wash. It's the same mentality. You're buying a business first. So it's operationally heavy. You know exactly what I mean, is that high expense ratios, high turnover in staffing. You have to get the numbers right for the business to succeed. Whatever appreciation that real estate has, essentially is just a cherry on top. And in today's market, real estate might not appreciate all that much like we're used to the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's a business first strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people all the time, I want to buy an assisted living facility. I want to buy 100 beds. And I get approached all the time. I said, okay, great. Who's going to operate it? My first question always is, who's going to operate? Well, we'll get a management company. I go, okay. That's the first mistake you're going to make. Because these management companies, man, I tell you, I've come across so many of them. One, they don't know what they're doing. Two, they're in it for the wrong reasons. Three, they don't care because they don't have skin in the game. So they're just collecting their 5% and just going through the motions. And then if you fire them, they go on to the next community.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these investors don't come from this space. And I tell people all the time, if they're great opportunities to invest in these things, right? Because the numbers, there's not enough senior housing for what's coming in 2030, right?
Exactly.
Like that's why you're seeing them go up. But you better have somebody on your team like we have. Our partner, Lonnie Steckler, phenomenal operator, has been 30 years in the business, has built multiple assisted living facilities. So we trust in him.
Yeah.
If not, we wouldn't invest in the business. So I always go back to operators in this space will always win over the investor that has a lot of money.
100%. And I tell everyone the same thing that you just mentioned is operations first. Your number one hire is the operator.
100%.
In-house, out-house, whatever you want to call it. Your number one is your operator. So being this newbie in the space for the last couple of years, we used third-party management companies or operating companies, but we took a stance of let's give them a part of the equity. And we've been with the same operator for 2.5 years. And now they have skin in the game on the equity side because they see the growth and we walk them through the whole investment strategy. But they've also contributed actual dollars to the investment. So now they have real skin in the game.
Right.
And in the agreement, the management agreement, hey, if you don't perform A, B, C, D, you're not getting paid X, Y, and Z. So they are motivated to work
Right.
and for this business to succeed and the revenue to increase and the expenses to decrease. They're motivated. But yeah, to your point, you are 100% correct is that operator doesn't care at the end of the day. They'll jump to that next investment group. They'll jump to that private equity group. They'll jump to that mom and pop owner. They're collecting their 5, 6, 7%. They don't care. It's a paycheck every month.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all it is.
Absolutely. It's like a team of two and
Yeah. That's exactly right.
I've seen everything.
Yeah.
What's your experience on the marketing side when you grab these communities and you have to go now bring in residents? So like what's your strategy there to really highlight the community in the area?
So we're acquiring, I'm going to say, stabilized, occupied communities. They're 70, 80% occupied already. So yeah, there's room to grow, but we're not at a disadvantage of 40, 50% occupancy that we have to blast out this media marketing across the state or across this huge county. It's more of a community connection. Go to the local fair, like in the Savannah one, there's a lot of Southern hospitality, Southern feel. So we're very vocal in those little fairs or the county fair or the farm, the local churches across the street. So even in Central Florida, where I own 5 communities, we're out there in our own little community in Orlando and Sarasota and Lakeland, doing the outreach at the community level. Yeah, with the industry professionals, but also with communities, community events. We bring in education experts into the facility. That attracts families, that attracts new interested families in the community. So we're giving value and educating them in a certain topic. And now they see, hey, this community really resonated with me. And then maybe in 1 or 2 years, they might bring mom and dad in there. So it's getting that reputation in the community that we find the best value for our marketing dollars.
No, I think that's such an important point because it's not only going to the hospitals and trying to get referrals in the digital marketing, but it's really establishing a relationship with your community because you're an extension of that community. You're taking care of people's grandparents, mothers and fathers that are, they're members of that community, right? So if you can really connect yourself to the community, be an extension of that, you're going to win.
Yeah.
You're absolutely going to win if it follows with good service.
Yeah. If you have that reputation, that recognition, right? It's like I'm not name dropping, but a Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
They're on every corner.
Sure.
They don't have the best coffee.
Right.
But they're known because they're always visible because of their reputation. So you as a owner of a community, if you have a reputation of the best care or the best staff, or hey, they have the best educational topics once a month, or they house a barbecue in their courtyard once a month or a second Thursday of the month. If you're known for that, chances are that community is most likely to bring their loved ones there. It's a reputation based, but that reputation doesn't come without the good care,
Right.
right?
Right.
So they kind of go hand in hand.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, 2030 is upon us. There's going to be about 80 million um, baby boomers. What do you see this like? What do you see the landscape of this industry being? 4 years from now, and are we going to be able to meet the need that the market's going to require?
No. No, we're not going to meet the need because I'll tell you some stats is 1 in 5 Americans will be 65 or older in 2030, like you said. So 80 million. That's a huge number.
Yep.
And maybe the average person thinks, oh, yeah, there's tons of these assisted living communities everywhere. Oh, I see them on every corner. Yeah, they're there, but they're not meeting the demand. So right now, today, there's a $2 billion shortage in new development for senior care, meaning you have to inject $2 billion today to keep up with today's demand. Obviously, we're not injecting $2 billion tomorrow.
Right.
So now we're behind the 8 ball. To top that off, 60% of major markets across the nation, 60% have 0 permits allocated to new build for senior care.
Wow.
So that $2 billion shortage that I'm talking about, it's only going to double, triple, quadruple
Sure.
in 3, 4, 5 years. Because permitting doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't.
That whole pipeline takes 3 to 5 years to come to fruition. But what are they building if they do get permits and new build? Is A-class facilities.
Mhm.
Granite countertops, marble floors, fancy pictures.
Right. You see them everywhere.
But how many people, how many seniors or how many families can really afford that in 5 years?
Right.
Maybe now, but in 5 years,
Right.
the way the economy is going, the way people are spending money on X, Y, and Z, they can't afford, or that demographic is going to shrink for the affordability of that A-class facility. So that gives us mid-market owners and operators a lot more runway, a lot more opportunity. So yeah, you have it's basic economics. You have the demand and you have a lack of supply.
Right.
So to me, that's one of the major reasons why I got into this space 3 years ago is basic economics 101, supply and demand.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Yeah, the operations like we spoke about.
Yeah.
But at least you have a solid foundation on supply and demand.
100%. 100%. I completely agree with you. The government, at the local, at the state level has, Medicaid gets funded by the federal government, but then the states control it and they've created the long-term care programs, right? And they had to start doing that so the middle market can afford these places to stay and afloat. But the question I have for you is, do you see a world where the federal government starts building these things because they're out of a crisis or starts really funding these things with SBA loans? Like, what do you see this? Because it's going to become a crisis because people have to work these days. They can't sit back home and take care of mom and dad or grandpa or grandma. So this is going to become a crisis. It's not today, but it's coming. It's on the horizon. So what happens? What reactionary step does the government take to alleviate this? Because people don't understand with healthcare, right? Healthcare is the backbone of the economy. People don't understand that.
More so now than ever.
More so now than ever. So, how do you see this crisis going to be managed by the federal government?
It's going to be a mess. I don't know if this is the right move or not for them, but they have to incentivize new development. They have to incentivize conversions. Maybe the hotel industry is slowing down. Convert motels, hotels. Multifamily might be a little bit tough to convert, but you have to incentivize these developers to build or convert. And they're not going to spend right now on new construction. It's like cost $300,000 per unit for a new development, new build. Developers are not going to spend that when they can purchase it for $100,000, $150,000.
Yeah, the replacement cost is out of control.
It doesn't make sense right now.
Yep.
The only way they will develop it was with incentive from the government.
Correct.
I'm not giving them incentive. I don't have the cash to fund their projects. So yeah, the government has to play around with the rules, play around with the incentivization. It's inevitable that we need more space for seniors. We can't leave the seniors on the street.
Sure.
Like you said, son and daughter have to work or they can't take mom and dad at home. Like back in our generation, you're from Cuba, I have the Italian background. We took grandma, grandpa in our house. We
Yep.
took elderly mom and dad in our house, and we cared for them as long as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a 93-year-old grandma that's still on her own, widowed, still on her own in her house. Fortunate for her. But if she can't do that any longer,
Mm-hmm.
I can't take her in my house. My mom can't take her in her house because you can't really give the care that she's needed. So yeah, there's going to be a huge problem in handful of years.
Oh yeah, it'll be here quicker than we know, and
Yeah.
then everything the government does is reactionary, and that worries me. And I think that you have to incentivize the builders, the operators, to build these things, right? But what I don't want to see is them just come in and complete, just them taking over completely of the space, because then they're going to ruin it.
Sure, they don't have the operational background.
They're going to
They
ruin
might
it.
have
So
the money
that's what
to
I
build.
fear a little bit, because
Yeah.
they're going to react. And but yeah, the crisis is coming, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should start a commission. Who knows?
Let's do it, man.
Maybe go sit with
wh-
Congress.
why aren't they talking about it now at that level? Like we touched on the private equity firms, they're starting to circle around smaller sized communities.
Mm-hmm.
They're understanding there's money to be made. You made a point before, they don't know nothing about care level and operations. That's going to be a whole new opportunity for us.
Right.
But if they're circling around, why isn't the government talking about it?
Right.
Right? They're not talking about it openly that I hear about.
Sure. No, they don't.
They're not going to correct it in 1 or 2 years.
Well, I mean, there's so many things going on in the country right now.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I think this is at the bottom of the issues that are going on right now, and they're not really bringing. But this is the bubble that's gonna burst, and it's gonna be a problem, a huge problem. People don't realize it. It's gonna put a huge strain not only in assisted living, but the whole entire healthcare healthcare system is going to face some real challenges. Doctors, people are not going to school anymore to become doctors. Nurses are becoming ARMPs because they want to make more money. So you don't have a lot of nurses in the like. It's a trickle down effect, and you're starting to feel the impacts now. What I worry about is what this is going to look like in 2030.
Yeah. And people are living longer.
Yep.
With,
Well, that's the
with
other
medication, with
Yeah.
whatever's out there right
Yeah.
now. People can live longer.
one too. Sure.
Like I don't know the exact average lifespan, but it's not what it was 5-10
I
years
think it's
ago.
like 72 or 73.
Yeah. So you don't think that's going to expand in
100%.
5-10 years?
Yeah, it's going to
Right?
keep
People are
going
going to
up.
live longer, whether they're healthy or not. They're going to be a physical human being on Earth for a longer time.
Yeah, it puts a strain on the economy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is not good metrics moving around.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's this look like going forward? Are you still in acquisition mode? Like, what's your vision for your organization here in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so we own and operate 5 communities in the Central Florida area. It's a band from Sarasota to Orlando, and it's a very tight band that our communities are in, and that's done strategically with a reason. Our expansion, we are in acquisition mode. We're scheduled to acquire 3 to 5 new communities this year and next year, but strategic. So we have that band in Central Florida. We might buy one a little bit north, one a little bit south, one a little bit east, but the dots have to be connected to make it economically make sense for our operations team. I'm not a believer that I have one in Texas, one in California, one in New York. All you're doing is spinning your head around.
Yep.
So if it's concentrated operations and economies of scale, and then now you build on that reputation. So it's like that Dunkin' Donuts thing. Now you're on every corner essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 4, 5, 8, 10, 12 communities in this large radius,
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
to me, it's like now it's marketing on its own. And then now people will have that brand recognition.
Yeah. You create the brand awareness.
Yeah. So that's our strategy. We're in acquisition mode. We're expanding across Central Florida, a little bit north, a little bit south, but nothing too dramatic in distance. And then we really like that West Coast from call it Naples all the way to Sarasota.
Yeah, that Region 8.
Yeah, even north of Sarasota, it's huge
Yeah.
expansion.
No, I love the Naples, Fort Myers. We have a
Yeah.
branch there. We serve over 200 patients in that area. It was a challenge, though. Let me tell you, took us
Everything is.
Yeah, it took us 5 years to get established there, because people, like what you're talking about, they were connected to the people that were there, established brands. And here come the new kids on the block from Miami. Of course, we come with a lot of false pretenses or whatever you want to think about us, but we had to prove ourselves in the market and we had to gain that trust, and now it's going phenomenal. But it's such a great market because of the demographic there, right? You walk into a Publix and you see a lot of seniors, and it's just a great overall market. So yeah, I agree with you there. Where can people find your communities?
Yeah, so online, maravita.seniorliving.com has a list of the communities, what we offer, what we strive for, what the mission statement is. Check out maravita.seniorliving.com.
Amazing, man. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing everything you got going on and sharing your story, which is a pretty cool story. I didn't know the in-depth part of your story, so that's pretty cool. And we got to do it again, man. Thanks, Roberto.
Yeah. Nah, thanks, Andy. Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks.
Yep. Catch you guys on the next one.